Assalamu alaikum, friend. Today you will be asked to choose from comedy and science fiction genres. We will watch a film called The Last Mission. Get comfortable and I will start. Professor Cupel Weiser arrived at a conference dedicated to his invention. He invented hibernation capsules where chimpanzees are frozen and then thawed. Next, people conducted a raid to freeze 3 countries. Among them were Albert and Ahoten, who looked after Max, a man working as a caretaker. After training his followers, Cupel Weiser warned them that hallucinations might occur. A journalist who consumed the interior died 3 days later in the League Forum. After that, the followers went to sleep. They moved in a futuristic environment. Suddenly, girls appeared to them. Other than that, no one worried. The girls caused trouble. In addition, the building's director worried about the women. Albert and Max focused on the first woman for various reasons. Here, drinking, smoking, and relationships among men later became serious matters. Their archaeological organization leader, Dr. Lamia, informed Bernara from Kamens about this. In this world, men were slaughtered by unknown causes. They believed that all male deaths were due to conflicts and the radiation consequences of trichologists. Albert and Max opened capsules from 50 countries. Archaeologists examined them and tried to wake them from sleep. They summarized the hallucinations told by the professor, but Yonat Roth turned out to be real. They tried to fight, but the doors were electrified and no one could escape. Albert and Max now understood what kind of world they were in. Men were exchanged with women forever, leading to a crisis at the end. Men said it was humanity's biggest mistake. They always suppressed female inventions, arguing that working with nature was harmful. Here, genetics or geneticists were at the forefront. Lamia's group's findings caused many internal conflicts. They planned to kill men themselves repeatedly, over and over again and again, 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 again and again. This news upset Max greatly. Watching women's football, Max realized that men were the rulers of this world. This seemed to signify a fierce rivalry. Most subscribers dreamed of a real life. When Lamia questioned them, Max tried to silence her, even threatening with harsh words. But when he left the camera, he started to behave strangely. He believed that a man was a woman's enemy from birth. Lamia was accepted by Dr. Emma Dax. Emma was responsible for the genetics department's security to protect men from extinction. Emma informed Lamia that the invention had shortcomings. This woman, who was the leader of the tribe, started killing men. After killing men, she installed surveillance in the ears and brought them before the leaders. When the leaders were informed about bringing men, they watched the experiment carefully and gave approval, then released them. Synthetic food was given to them. During the fight, men invented drugs to block genes, but the drugs sometimes caused gene damage, leading to their death. Humanity passed 20 men per 100. In other words, men were on the brink of extinction. For now, children did not know this. Max and Albert all progressed. Recently, they picked apples from an ancient tree and started telling a sacred legend about the apples, but the apples mysteriously disappeared. Seeing this, a woman screamed and ordered the guards to put men back in the cameras. After that, they left this place and went outside. Lamia could not forget Max's betrayal. She kept thinking about it and could not find peace. Because of this, if men were to be destroyed, elders would return home. She gave him a strawberry drink to calm him and asked what the world would become after the fight. They refused to answer. A scientist wrote an article about men and explained that men could be fully studied and transformed into trans beings. His wife, knowing this, said they needed to save them with organ viewers and Lamia's help. At this time, men organized a short meeting. They chased the rabbits with a lamp, but they did not last long. After restoring electric power, they returned the rabbits to the cages. Entering the yard, they asked Jasmine if they were satisfied, but of course they refused. If they remained dissatisfied, fate would. For this purpose, they created a faction opposing each other. Women geneticists suggested using men's deaths to benefit the young. Women archaeologists suggested turning them into young people. A conflict began and the archaeology faction remained dominant. Max did not like that this would cause division. The conflict lasted for days, with men's forces coming and going, trying their hardest. Max had a gray tool or a road device in his hand. The women were. Men found beacons installed in their ears. Men who ascended or descended by elevator understood they could not escape the building. Finally, one of them fell into an artificial pit and came to the enemy's banquet. These women strictly followed their laws. They influenced men to surrender, but guards arrived and enemies escaped. Men disappeared during the fight, but after a while Max found Albert inside the elevator. Together, they went to the lab. He took them out to rest and said their faces were no longer suitable for anything. It would have been enough if they agreed, but Lamia did not tolerate such things. She sent them to the guards. Women geneticists reported that men were united and that they had to be subject to their hands. Albert and Max were taken for surgery. Women who needed organ transplants were going to receive new ones. Their young ones were to be fed to prevent tumors. After this, the surgeon of Maxina's Nightingale, her old daughter, became the owner of this secret. She was a cafe owner left by her grandfather. It is known that he recovered from a serious illness and gave men to the laboratory for experiments. But Alikachin had to anesthetize Albert for treatment. When they tried to transfer him to another ward, Albert fell asleep and said he had no desire for fights. Their condition was the terrifying result of hibernation. Lamia took men out to rest. They wore spacesuits, left the building through the corridor and hit some kind of wall. Max held a knife to the right, saw a desert covered with some cloth. Actually, it was. At that moment, Max saw a flying object and understood that it was a dangerous situation. Wearing their spacesuits, they continued to the village. The village taught them about nutrition and supplies, and they settled peacefully, but behind them came Dax, who wanted to take the joy away. Another girl came out of the corridor looking very sick, very sick, very sick, very sick, very sick, very sick. Max and Lamia did not sit idle at this time. They began to seek happiness and luck. Everyone went to the market and the women joined the crowd. Men discussed their future. They tried to take the elevator home, then women also. They quickly became brave, showing their open faces in front of the crowd. It was said that their gatherings would soon pass. It became known that the society's leader was mute. His mother saved him as a child. His children were turned into young people. What made him like a girl? And time passed and 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 passed. Friends, tell me honestly, if you were born into the real world, what would be your first desire? Be sure to comment, like the video for free, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you soon with new stories. Goodbye.